did it. We got to Friday. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Yo. I'm feeling it, baby. 11 a.m. tip-off tomorrow. We've got stuff that's literally just happening this morning. We got an update. We have an update on Dvo Davis, by the way. So we'll get started there. Before we do, really quick, shout out to Patreon supporters. We're kind of all over the place. I don't know when the actual deadline is for the cycle. I shouldn't say the month of January, because I think you have a day or two to actually go sign up or re-sign up for the month of January, and it still count towards the month of January. But we're all over the place. We were at 100. I think it was 106 at one point. But then it dropped down as the month flips. Well, some people forget to renew their cards. I had 2 people DM me the last 48 hours apologizing. Please don't ever feel the need to apologize. I am so grateful you guys are here watching this stuff. I really do. I'm very grateful. But if you want to help, there is what is that flying around? It is February. How are you in here? But yeah, if you guys want to help make sure we get over 100, that's the goal. When you guys said back in like November or maybe it was October, Ty, we're going to get to 100. We came close by the end of the year. We got really close. So if you want to help to make sure we get there at some point, we will be doing Razorback former Arkansas player card giveaways. We'll be doing those not this weekend, but the following, and that'll be for people who were January subscribers to the Patreon. Okay, you have to make sure, and I know you didn't mean to unsubscribe to the Patreon, but just keep in mind you've got to be there, right, for the Patreon for that month. So yeah, all right. Shout out to Direct Service Overhead, the show sponsors. One of the show sponsors. They operate out of Central Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas. They got you covered, man. Same-day services, quality parts, and affordable outcomes. Give them a call today at 501. Oh, no. Hang on. Something froze up here. There it goes. I don't know what that was all about. 501-244-3667. That's Direct Service Overhead. Free estimates, they got you covered. Dvo Davis. So it was said on the radio, he's got a deal through his NIL. It's a dealership, a Chevrolet dealership. I apologize. The name is escaping. This is just straight up from a text message I got from a buddy, but I guess he had I'm going to try and pull this up on my Discord. I screenshotted it from my phone, put it in my private Discord, and then I'm trying to blow it up, and I can't find the right page. But so on 103.7 the buzz, or the zone on the buzz, he's supposed to have some kind of a deal set up through the Chevrolet dealer where he comes on and he talks, right? Well, he and that's supposed to be on Thursdays. I think sometime in the afternoon. Well, obviously he didn't show up yesterday, but apparently they came out and said that it's not out of the picture that he could return and take part in some more, I guess a representative or someone on his behalf, maybe a family member, I'm not sure, or maybe someone it might have been the actual NIL donor. If anyone has that dealership, I think it's a dealer, a Chevrolet dealer down in his town, in his hometown. So yeah, if someone has that for me, please feel free to share it, or maybe I'll go back and correct it, because I want to you got to give credit where credit's due. But yeah, so this again was a text. My buddy heard it, I guess, or I don't know where he got the information from. I'm assuming he got it off of the radio. But so I don't know what this means. I don't know that this means that there's a window for him to return. We're not going to get into. I'm kind of over. I'm with some of you who are like, I'm over the Dvo stuff. We're obviously playing better. Maybe it's just best he stays off the team or stays away. I don't know the internal dynamics of what's going on, but they have certainly played better the last couple of games when Dvo wasn't there. We know that it'd been reported he didn't show up last Saturday, just didn't show up at all. Or right, was it last Saturday that happened? Yeah, it was, because he's 0 for 2. He's not been in the last 2 games. So apparently there's still a possibility he's going to hop on. Again, that's 103.7 The Zone. He's supposed to – it's a part of a deal. It's part of his NIL deal. So, yeah. All right. Garnett Chevrolet? Justo says it's Gwatney Chevy. Gwatney Chevrolet. Okay, well, there you go. There you have it. Share this across the socials, folk. More eyes is more eyes, like the video. Yeah, I appreciate you, John. The rumors are wild. Yeah, rumors, we're not really, listen, we're not in on the rumors here. I'm not going to I did see one of the big channels, not Razorback channels, one of the big national channels got into the Dvo stuff, got into the whole what they believe to be, the dynamics of the team and what's going on and all. I'm not going to do that. They can do that. I'm not going to do that. We're just going to discuss what's going on the floor, and that's really all anyone should care about, if you want my honest opinion. Ty, what do you know about running? Bro. Oh, we're not going there, man. We're not going there. That, and listen, again, I appreciate the retweets, by the way, on Twitter. John, thank you. We're just not going there, all right? So Dvo bails on his team, and the first time we hear from him is that he will fulfill his NIL obligations. What a flipping joke. Well, I mean, honestly, if that's what he's supposed to do, I hope he would honor his NIL. I hope that however that happens, right? And now this is where this stuff gets wild. Like, are they still paying him, or did they pay all this up front and they're just like, yeah, here you go. Here's again, I beg for transparency on this stuff. And I wish we did put so much pressure on fans and local businesses on this, And NIL is going to always exist, even if they do go to a contract-based, like what they do in all NFL, all professional sports. You're still going to have NIL. That's still going to be a thing, but it's going to help take the pressure off of communities and local businesses and fans. It's going to help take some of the pressure off. And it's not like, again, that this wouldn't exist either. I guess, thinking about it now, it still would be there. I'm sure that's between him and the dealership. That's between him and the car dealer. But it's interesting that it's kind of played out like this, and it's very public, and a lot of assumptions and a lot of things that no one has any idea. And again, now I'm not going to lie to you, if it involves the team, then it's like we're crossing into an area where it's like, okay, hold up. But I'm just not going to go there. I'm not going to get in on the, if he wants to come out, listen, if he wants to come out on the radio show and talk about what really was going on, no one can stop him. I mean, the university can't stop him. If he's away from the team, that's one thing, but if he has quit the team, so maybe we'll find out more if next Thursday, if he's going to be on the radio show on 103.7 The Buzz. No one thought he was going to be there yesterday. He didn't. And so we'll see. And apparently there's a possibility that he'll show up next week. So we'll see. Or the following, maybe sometime down the road. They didn't exactly, as far as I know, they didn't give us a window. So, yeah. So Gwatney, is it Gwatney or Garnett? I've never heard of that dealership. I'm sorry. I've never heard of it. Well, either way, there you go. So there's the Dvo update. That's the Dvo Davis update. All right. Shout out to the Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzeria, located on Emma Street in Springdale. Great pies, great IPAs on tap. They've got it. If you want it, they've probably got it. Great environment, great place to watch a game. they're going to be back in town. Well, Razorback Baseball starts up here really soon. And so, listen, there's another reason. If you want to actually come watch a winning product on the floor or on the field, the Arkansas has, we're going to talk about that. We're going to do it the opposite. We're going to start off with basketball, then we're going to get into the recruiting stuff. But I don't want to put I'm not big in the jinxing stuff. Everyone's like, you're going to jinx them. I just have a hard time buying into that. I feel like I say this every year about Razorback Baseball. They're going to be fine. They could lose a couple of these games to James Madison, and guess what? I think we know what the regular season end result is going to be. Even if they're not hosting, they're going to be involved in postseason baseball. So I'm not real, again, especially when it comes to baseball. Now, if they do tank, that means a lot of people, including me, were wrong about the football team because I picked them way too high, obviously, and I know a lot of you did too. And it's awesome that some of you have come forward. I had, towards the end of the football season, some of you came forward and you were like, yeah, no, I had them at 10. I had them at 10, Ty. I was way off. So you guys are awesome. Those of you who are willing to just say, you know what, I was wrong. I don't know everything. I was wrong. I don't know everything. And I was wrong. I was wrong about football. I was wrong about basketball. I don't know. I still don't buy into the jinxing stuff, but I see where some of you guys might. I don't think the Razorback baseball team's going to let us down, and I can't wait. So if you're in town, February 16th, that's when they start their 4-game series against James Madison. All 4 games, obviously, are going to be in Baum. How awesome is that, man? I mean, I'm sure he's going to mess around with the lineup. He's going to mess around with the bullpen. He's going to figure it out now that you're playing, you're going up against people you don't know anything about, at least from a player's perspective. I mean, I know the coaches will probably have some clue as to what they're in for, although with the transfer portal era, who knows? And also the transfer portal era absolutely could benefit teams like James Madison. So you never know. James Madison could come in here and humble you, but that's fine. Again, that's fine. You got a lot of baseball in front of you, so don't let a couple of games, or even if they go 0 for 4, I'm not going to lie to you, that might be a little bit concerning, but I think Dave's going to tinker a little bit with the lineup and his bullpen. And he's probably not going to want to stress any of his big arms. He's probably not going to want to put a lot of stress on them. So we could see we could be keeping an eye on some pitching counts. And then they've got the series down in Arlington where they're going to play Oregon State, Oklahoma State, and Michigan. So I'm really excited for that. That's February 23rd, 24th, and 25th. They start off the 23rd against an old foe, Oregon State. We know all about them. I want to win that game so bad. I don't care that nobody is affiliated. It's been a while ago since Arkansas lost that World Series. Whatever. I still want redemption. You don't get it a lot in sports. You just don't. Without a conference opponents, you don't get. Like, I still want revenge on the Rutgers in football. They swept Arkansas. I remember when that was, we're getting the Rutgers home and home series against the Rutgers, right? That was home and home. They didn't play both those in Fayetteville. Anyways, they swept you. They swept Arkansas. I want revenge for that. Louisiana Monroe, 2012. When their fans and their players went crazy and, Tyler Wilson's final year and Bobby was gone and they beat you. It's a huge upset, big program win. I want revenge against Monroe. North Texas, the list goes on. I hold grudges against teams. Not against people as much. Teams. Maybe some people. I don't know. Anyways, that's a game I'm looking forward to. And then they're going to play a very familiar Oklahoma. I say familiar. Arkansas has faced them over the years. And then Michigan on the 25th. Again, that's all down in Arlington. Yeah. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. The times are just kind of random. I don't know when we do these lives throughout the week, but I do appreciate you guys for being here. I just hope the baseball team doesn't crap the bed this year. James, it's going to be rough if baseball shits the bed. And it's not entirely impossible that happens. Again, the transfer portal, it's just changed how you have to. That's why I think way too early polls are even more ridiculous than they've ever been for any sport. Obviously, baseball's around the corner. What's up, Woo Pig? He just comes in with a laughing face emoji. People from the Central area definitely know Guatney. Oh, okay. Well, I don't. Never heard of him. The Rutgers game with A.J. Derby at quarterback. Oh, yeah. Why do I feel like both those games were played in Fayetteville? They weren't. Arkansas, that was a home and home, right? Arkansas went there. I don't know why I have that in my head that they played both those in Fayetteville. I know they didn't. What's up with Kyle? Step up. I don't know what you're talking about, Paul. You're gonna have to fill me in. All right, again, like, share, subscribe, check out Patreon if you want to join in on some of the fun. Discord is also a great place. Tuss Talk with Ty Discord. We have a lot of fun there. I'm gonna give you guys the link to that as well. Oh, okay, it's an old Vine. Isn't that where damn Daniel? Isn't that where that's from, is Vine? Damn. You guys remember that? That was really funny. All right. So let's get into Arkansas and LSU here really quick before we get into recruiting. We haven't put the prediction up yet. That's my bad. I thought for some reason I had it in my head that I put the prediction out. It is not up, so if you're wondering, I'll get that in today, probably as soon as I'm done going live here. LSU's they're an oddball team. I don't know that this is a game like for them. This is obviously must win. You can make the argument that even though Arkansas is out, I think they're out. I just outside of being an automatic qualifier, I don't know how Arkansas gets in because. Well, I mean, I know they could win out, and that's a different argument, right? But I don't think anybody believes that that's what's going to happen with this team. And I've said all along, they're going to win some games they have no business winning. This wouldn't be one of them. Like, this is a game they should win, or based on even, going into the regular season, even in non-con play, you would look at this and go, down the road, like, oh, in February? Yeah, no, they should be able to go. They should be able to go into LSU and win, right? I mean, I know Muss doesn't have a great record there. By the way, Muss is something like 4-0. I saw that posted somewhere, and I think that might have been – was that Danny West or Trey Biddy? Someone put it out on Twitter that he's 4-0 in February, the first game of February. So, I don't know. But then again, I don't believe he's ever won a game in LSU. Not he when he was the coach. Arkansas has won there. So LSU, again, they're I don't want to say an enigma, but they are a bizarre team. Like when you look at some of their games this year, I never thought they were going to be anything great. I never looked at LSU. In fact, I had them coming into the year on my preseason power poll. I had them as like a bottom 6 team in the SEC. They're kind of living up to that right now. 3-4 in conference play. They've got an 11-9 record right now. They are nowhere near. They're in a similar situation that Arkansas's in, right? They're not a high scoring team. They're pretty vanilla. They're about 76, 77 points a game. They're giving up roughly 72 points a game. They're not a high-end – they're not a horrible rebounding team like Mizzou, but they're not very good. But they are getting close to about 37 boards a game. They're right outside 180th in the country. And you look at their record, they have beaten Ole Miss, and that's probably, looking back at it, that's their best win of the year. I think Wake Forest has kind of turned their year around, and LSU won that game. They beat them 86-80. I think Wake Forest is like a top 5 team in their conference right now, but it's way too early to start. No idea if I would put Wake in the tournament or not. But LSU won that game, and they went on the road and they beat Texas A&M. But again, A&M has not been off to a great start. They're not playing their best basketball. But they did go on the road and win that 68-53. They beat Vanderbilt at home 77-69. They got They got beat up pretty bad against Auburn. That was a game where Auburn really pulled away right before the end of the first half and pulled away in the second half. But then they beat Ole Miss, and that is, I mean, they won by 9. It was a back-and-forth game, most of that game until, about the halfway through the second half. And that was a game I kept an eye on a little bit, watched highlights, tried to watch what footage I could. Very interesting game until the end, and Ole Miss made a little bit of a run there. They were able to close the gap up a little bit. But LSU won, and they're not a team that you expect to win on the road. Like, that's not a game you expect to win on the road. But then, so they beat A&M. They've split their series with A&M. They beat A&M on the road, but then they lost to A&M at home. They beat Vanderbilt at home. They beat, and they beat Ole Miss at home. So I'm gonna. Well, I don't want to put my pick out just yet, because looking at like their scoring offense, we already went over that. Their defense, their scoring defense is, 186th in the country. That's still way ahead of Arkansas. They're pretty similar to Arkansas in just total assists per game. Probably their best area is just their overall field goal percentage. They're roughly in the top 150, which is the better side of that to be on, is right inside the top 150 rather than being right outside of the top 150. They're 147th at shooting field goal percentage at 45.3%. Arkansas's 210th in the country here. They're 44%. So obviously Arkansas's on the bad side of that. They're not a heavy three-point shooting team, and yet they're still a pretty, top 140, top 145 percentage team outside, just south of 35% shooting. But again, they only try about 22 attempts a game. So they're not a high volume. Obviously, they're not an Alabama. They're not a high volume three-point shooting team, but they can get hot outside. A couple of their losses to Alabama and Auburn, they gave up shooting defensively. Both those teams shot north of 40% on 25 or more attempts outside. And I have watched them a little bit, and I have kind of listened to what some of their fans are complaining about. It is similar to Arkansas's complaints. Their perimeter defense, they tend to give up some open looks. Now, against a team like Arkansas, that's probably not as big of a fear. You remember when Dvo Davis got pretty red hot outside, all of a sudden he's shooting 2 of 4, 2 of 3, 3 of 5 outside. Like, all of a sudden he found his perimeter game last year. Well, obviously he never found any part of his game from a year ago, and now he's kind of wandered off into the woods. We don't really know what's going on with him. You don't have Brazil to help you down low, to maybe help set up some open shots outside. Arkansas doesn't stretch the floor very well. We know that Mark, he's mid-range Mark, right? If there's anyone that can get hot, obviously Davenport. We could talk about Pinion, but we know Pinion's not going to get the minutes. Maybe Battle. But Arkansas is still they're nowhere near, and they never have been under Musselman, a threat out in the perimeter. Where Arkansas is a problem, and this is where the mismatch is for LSU. LSU fouls a lot. I think they're bottom 5 in the SEC in fouls per game. It's something like that, bottom 5, bottom 6. Well, Arkansas is still one of the best teams in the country at getting to the free throw line, and this is a problem for LSU. They foul, and they foul a lot. I think I had the number in front of me, and I don't have it right now, but it's a lot. Just know that it's top. It's however you want to look at it. It's bottom 5 or top 5 of the SEC. However you want to look at it in terms of fouls per game, it is a lot. And Arkansas gets to the free throw a lot, and Arkansas has at times in conference play shot pretty well on the road. Or, overall at the free throw line. So if they could carry that with them to the game, Tremont Mark, a guy that gets to the free throw line so much, he is becoming the dude for Arkansas. I think he's already been the dude, although he did disappear for a little bit. He's that guy that has stepped up, and he can create some issues. And, he's pretty good at just drawing all kinds of fouls. I mean, he could sell without flopping. He sells really well, and he's just good at drawing contact fouls. And so whether it's his mid-range shots, him finishing at the rim, or just getting to the free throw line, he is someone they've already talked about. LSU's talked about this is a guy they're gonna really keep an eye on. Is this a game where Mark, Mitchell, maybe Blocker defensively at times. Is this a game where they could carry what we've seen the last couple of games into this game? I feel like we say this all the damn time. That's been a theme for Musselman for the last 2 years. Can you carry, because there's been so much bad before the carrying started? It's like, can you now carry the performance that you've had on the floor for the last 2 games, despite the fact that you've split those last 2 games between Kentucky and Missouri, but you did win on the road. That has to be a confidence booster for somebody. Maybe Musselman is starting to buy into his guys, and they can cut that rotation down to 8. Now, who those other 3 are going to be, I don't know. Like, I feel like at this point he's still kind of dabbling. Do we see Pinion break in there at any point? He gets brought up more than anybody. I don't know why for a lot of you, whether it's in group chats or at times, not as much lately, but at times Discord or my DMs. What's up with Pinion? I don't know. But what I will say is I want to see Mitchell and I want to see Mark and Mitchell carry what we've seen from them. And defensively too, we're not talking enough about how much better Arkansas's played defensively. At least they did in the last game. And defensively against Kentucky in the second half game, they did exactly what I thought. We see that ugly defense show its head from every once in a while. We saw it towards the end against Missouri. In a game that Arkansas, that score was not reflective of what really happened, but that is the danger with this team, with how easily that defense just completely lets go of the rope. You know, whether it's just, I don't know whether it's just being confused at the rim, coming off ball screens, just giving up wide open looks outside. Like sometimes they have, and it's not like just maybe 3 or 4 possessions. It's like 7 out of 9 possessions, teams are either knocking down threes, getting to the free throw line, or just getting wide open looks, or they're, a cut straight to the basket, little dribble drive right to the rim. It's just like a breakdown for a solid few minutes, and that's what always worries me about this team. They struggle hanging on to leads, playing with leads. Once they start to trail by a little bit, you really get, if they start off slow against LSU, I'll say I think they still have a shot. Even if they go into half trailing by 8 or 9 points, I still think they have a shot, because LSU, again, they do have a couple studs. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm looking at Jordan Wright, 6'6", 235 pounds. This is a guy that's shooting almost he's getting 31 minutes a game right now, averaging close to 16 points, 5 boards, 3 assists. I mean, the guy is Jordan Wright, right? But in terms of raw talent, I don't think, even without Brazil and Dvo, I don't think they match up very well, and I don't think they can – I don't know that their depth – oh, that's my alarm. I don't know that they have the same quality depth, yet at times we have seen them reach into their bench and do a little bit of damage, but they're not. Again, this should be a game where you feel like Arkansas matches up pretty well. Now, they have size. Again, we talked about Wright, who's a guard, who's about 6'6", 6'7", 230 pounds. They've also got Jalen Reed, their sophomore forward, who's 6'10", 230, and they have Will Baker, who's about 7 foot, 250 pounds, who's getting 23 minutes, 11 points, 5 boards a game. They've got bodies on the floor. This is an interesting matchup. It's also a question about what are they going to do at point guard. What do we expect moving forward at point guard? And in this matchup, because they do have a little bit of length at guard, they feel like they could probably match up with whoever Arkansas is going to trot out there to play the 1 spot. You don't have Black. You don't have him coming out with his size at times, kind of playing that combo guard role. So I don't know, and that's probably going to be the most fascinating thing, to see how Arkansas manages the point guard spot. And again, Mitchell, now you're going to play with a little bit more size. I think they go heavy tomorrow. I think they play with more size. They probably start off with again a similar look, couple bigs on the floor, maybe a 2 forward, 3 guard type situation. We'll see. I do have LSU in this game. This is another one to me that feels like a toss-up, where I did almost, if I were to put down a prediction, I would probably have put Arkansas as of like 2 days ago. I probably would have put Arkansas as the winner of this, but it's at LSU. And again, it's an interesting matchup. But again, I don't know. I just have this feeling like this is a game that LSU feels like they're in a little bit better, not much of a better position at all. This probably feels like more of a risky game for them than it does for Arkansas, even though Arkansas is coming off a win against Missouri on the road and they've got a couple of conference wins. I think LSU feels like they're in a better situation than Arkansas is, despite the fact their records are almost identical. Mostly because they've overachieved this year, if you want my opinion. And I think their fans feel that way, and I bet that staff and that team probably feels that way. They maybe have overachieved. I really thought they'd be a bottom 4, bottom 5 team, and so far they're a little bit above that. So yeah, and again they've just got Jordan Wright is him. Jordan Wright can be a problem, and Arkansas is going to have to contain him. I don't know if they could stop him, but they can only hope to contain a guy like that. Jalen Cook is another guy. He's getting close to 3 assists a game, 15 points. He's someone else. Again, they've got some guys. They've got some studs on the floor, and that's what gives me a little bit of pause for concern. And they can match you on size. They can match you on length. But I think in terms of raw talent, I think Arkansas has a little bit of an advantage, but maybe not by much. It's pretty interesting matchup for the Hogs. So, all right. Again, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Let's see. Man, I hope Menefield keeps playing well. I wonder how many minutes that guy's going to get. I think this team is finding its confidence. I think Muss is good and pissed off with all the chatter. Arkansas is going to beat LSU in a nasty, gritty game. Kopeski, I'm with you. I think this is going to be a nasty game. I think it's going to be a game Arkansas is going to want to score in the paint if they can. It's going to be a little bit harder against these guys. It sucks to lose ABR. Oh, well, we haven't gotten there yet. We're going to talk about him in just a second. I never thought I'd ever say that our defense has looked better without Dvo, says Brady Lewis. That is like the most on the point or on the money comment. Brady, you and I both, man. You and I both, brother. It's crazy. There's something going on, and we've been talking about that for weeks. There's something not clicking with these guys, and defensive effort's not been there. I remember us complaining about Dvo getting beat off dribble drives, as early as November. Like, what's going on with Dvo? He's getting beat so easily off the first dribble. He's just getting smoked. What's up? And then it just got progressively worse. Isn't that crazy? He goes from being maybe one of the top 3 perimeter defenders in the SEC from a year ago to whatever the hell happened this year. It's just crazy. Graham also had 4 turnovers, but one of his best games since Florida last year. Didn't we also say that Arkansas was finding its confidence after the A&M game? I could be wrong. Probably. Again, the SEC's crowded. And that's what makes this so challenging. Right now, I mean, the Joe Lunardi bracket, the SEC is in second place in terms of who he has in the tournament. The Big 12 with 9 at the moment. I think that number will come down for both the Big – well, I don't know. I think the SEC probably ends up sending 8. I think it's going to be 7 or 8 is how many the SEC sends. We'll see as the season progresses and as we get through the rest of March. Big 12 right now at 9, SEC at 8, Big East at 6, Big 10 having a down year with 6, Mountain West with 5, Pac-12 3, ACC at 3, the American Conference at 3, and the Atlantic 10 with 2. Some of that not surprising, but the Big 10 is not playing at the level I think. I would have guessed at this point in the year maybe 8, 7 or 8, or at least 8, really. And they're looking at right now 6. But we know this will change as the season progresses. We're not anywhere near for sure knowing how many teams. But if the SEC sends 8 right now, we know Arkansas is probably not one of them. Again, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. YouTube is not recommending these live shows to outsiders anymore. I mean, you can read, I've done this long enough, look at my analytics all the time. I say all the time, probably once or twice a week. They're not recommending. What's crazy is likes have actually gone up. Likes are up. They will recommend to people who watch the content, but they're not recommending to outsiders and people who don't normally click. So when you guys share, that really helps the channel. If you're not a Patreon supporter, and that's fine. Maybe you know what? Instead of giving financially, we'll share the content. I would greatly appreciate it. Because YouTube's some garden tools. What? Yeah, I don't know. Someone told me they thought it was because I swore, but I'm like, man, there's so many channels where swearing. Look at the comedy that is just blowing up on YouTube. Joe Rogan, right? There's, Theo Vaughn, all these comedians, of course, Shane Gillis and his group, like they all swear. It can't be that. It cannot be that. But then this individual pointed out, yeah, but you're sports. And maybe they've got you in a different category with sports channels that actually swear that are rated R. That could be right. I don't know. Joining Patreon when my refund hits. Hey! Tax refunds, baby. Tax refunds. This chair, it's comfortable, but it squeaks. You guys hear that? Damn! Probably doesn't help. There's a fat guy sitting on it. Offensive coordinator gone. Oh, okay. Camo's already there. All right. Well, let's since everyone's transitioning already to football, we'll just close again. I'm closing with I'm picking LSU to win this, but I agree with Kopecky, which is wild to say out loud, but I've done that a couple of times with him. But I do agree that this is gonna be a tough game. It's gonna be hard fought. It's going to be physical. I feel like this feels more like a rivalry game. By the way, where'd all that rivalry talk go? Where'd you guys go? Where are you? What, they just played their rivals on the road? No talk of rivalry. None. None whatsoever. Interesting. I don't care that both teams are down. That shouldn't even matter. If it's a true rivalry, I'm just saying. Oh, I feel like OJ when I said that. Ugh. Garden tool. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I got it. I appreciate it, John. You're not wrong. YouTube just doing what they do. All right. Recruiting, what the hell's going on? What in the hell's going on with recruiting? And it's not great. But Ashton Bethel-Roman, as I know everyone's probably already talked about, I know I'm kind of late here on. I was going to do a reaction to it last night, but we had other stuff going on here at home, so I wasn't able to do it. But and I knew by the time I was able to get everything put together, there'd already be a bunch of content on it anyway, so I'll just wait until Friday. But Ashton Bethel-Roman is out. This is if you want my opinion, this is a huge loss for this recruiting class. This is a big one. This was weight-wise, 6 foot, 6'1", 170 pounds. Guys, there's sure he could put on some weight. I don't think he was ever expected to be here through spring camp. He could have popped 10 pounds on pretty easy. He's got the frame for it. But the Missouri City product will not be a Razorback. He had offers from everyone: Oregon, Texas Tech, Arizona State, Baylor, Missouri. Missouri fans seem to think he's going to go there. We got an update this is from Easton May. Again, I'm gonna always give wherever the source is from, I'm gonna give them credit. This is from Easton May at Easton May 247. More insight on ABR. Source tells me that he was never really locked in. There was hesitation on signing day. But the departure of Kenny Guyton was really the nail in the coffin. ABR was not an early enrollee. Now that doesn't mean that it was. I don't think that means that he couldn't have been had he committed elsewhere and signed elsewhere. Just that maybe he hadn't planned on it with Arkansas. I don't know. But so he hasn't been on campus, and supposedly this has been in the works for almost 2 weeks. Source expects Texas A&M to be the front runner for him, which would make sense. And I think it's pretty obvious, what did I title this video as? I thought I made the title "What's Up with Razorback Recruiting." I'm glad I didn't, because I think it's pretty obvious what's going on. Yeah, Kenny Guyton certainly played a major role. I mean, that's the guy that when he committed, that was who was here, and he's off to Wisconsin. Sure, I think Wisconsin might be a team. If it means that much to him, then he better commit to Wisconsin, right? Like, just saying, if that's your line of thinking here, if you think it has nothing to do with losing having consequences, and this is just simply a Kenny Guyton thing, well, then I would hope to see him at Wisconsin. To be fair, though, that might be too far away. I think this probably was a little bit of everything. I think Kenny Guyton, listen, kids love playing for him. Kenny Guyton was a guy that these guys reacted to positively, that I could tell, that I've ever heard. And I know he had a little bit of, he recruited fairly well, and getting him to commit, getting ABR to commit here was a big deal. I mean, again, this is a guy that was if you're curious, he was a 4-star, 94 overall, 247 rating, .91 247 composite rating. Again, Oregon, Texas Tech, Arizona State, Baylor, Mizzou, a number of schools, some other high-profile schools. Everyone wanted this kid, and he committed to Arkansas. That was a hell of a get for Guyton. But losing does have consequences, and I think that is pointing out the obvious. I get it, but I mean, this one sucks, man. I mean, he signed and everything, and he's out. He's out of his letter of intent. He's out of the LOI. So that's going to give him another spot. Don't know what they do with it yet. Haven't talked to anybody about it. I did reach out to a couple. Well, I reached out to a couple of people about what they had heard, but then eventually Easton May was able to take to Twitter and give out what information he had. So I don't know what they plan on doing as far as like the actual scholarship, the distribution. I don't know if they're going to go after another high schooler. Listen, the final signing period's coming up. I think it's next week. Sometime next week, I think, is when the final signing period starts. So I don't know. I don't know what you do with it. I don't know if you hang on to it. We know Pittman is partial. I mean, he'll probably hang on to a couple scholarships. He may not fill them all, assuming there's any to give away to begin with. So, again, I think it's a pretty big loss. Now, the good news is it's not like you're in dire – you're not – this isn't like a 4-star big-time left tackle, right, or an edge rusher. The next guy up at edge rush, the next guy up at linebacker. Had it been a linebacker, it would have been a way different story. Some big-time 4-star wideout, safety. So, again, it's in terms of the ranking, right? Like on 3, I think Arkansas dropped completely out of the top 30. Again, for people who care about that stuff, I think that does matter to a degree. Let's see. Let's refresh on 3 here. Okay, they're at 30th on 3. I think 247. They're just right inside the top 30. But yeah, I mean, there is something to be said though about signing these guys, getting them here, signing them, and then the development phase starts, right? Getting them here for spring. I don't know that he was ever going to be here for spring. In terms of down the road, I think it's a pretty big loss simply because of his skill. The talent that he carries. I think he's someone that I think he'll be special if he goes to the right school. God help me if he goes to Missouri. If he goes to Missouri, I don't know. That's going to be really disappointing. If I remember right, Missouri was pretty. I think it was even rumored that he liked Mizzou, and I'm pretty sure he visited Mizzou. I get some of their visits mixed up, but I think that's right. So I think they need, if they use that scholarship, if they have it available, and maybe there's not someone sticking around who they thought was going to leave, because I feel like they're still expecting someone to transfer. Maybe not. I don't know, but I feel like that was kind of the belief just a month ago. Maybe that's changed, or maybe I was wrong that anyone was leaving. I don't know, but is it back? OBS just like dropped. Tell me if you guys are caught up, if you're here. Okay. All right. So, anyways, yeah, you 4-8, shit like this happens. Yeah, this is the consequences of losing when you're 4-8 and keeping the guy responsible for it. I do have, and I might save it for some edited content. I don't know, but I do have some thoughts on looking at Pittman sticking around for a fifth year, looking at it from a different perspective. And it's one that I'm sure some of you guys, you've also probably come to that conclusion also. But I have an idea for video that I have kind of already half typed out, and I might start recording on this weekend. But again, keeping him for a fifth year, it has its consequences. For the guy that's responsible for going 4-8 and only winning 10 games the last 2 seasons total, it has consequences. And you know, it's not like this team is shooting guys off into the pros left and right. It's not like we're talking about year after year, first round, like what Musselman has done. It's, again, I'm not a big fan of comparing coaches that coach different sports. But you see the momentum, despite what's happening this year with basketball, you see what that momentum has done in terms of recruiting there. And you're seeing the opposite effects with football, and you know, it all matters. And so, I don't know, man. They've got to surprise people this year. That's really all there is to it. They're going to have to go out and do something really special to get players to start to buy in a little bit. And of course, NIL is still a major factor. I get that too. If Pittman only wins 5 or 6, if Pittman wins only 5 or 6 wins, does he get another year? I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. I don't know. 6 wins will not be enough to make fans happy. Is it enough to convince Hunter Yurachek? That's something else entirely. 6 games is a bowl game. You know, and often what we hear about Petrino's system is that it's a 2-year it's going to take at least 2 seasons to really start to feel the effects. And then there's the question, and we touched on this over the weekend, if you have success on offense, is he gone? Let's say your defense shits the bed, but your offense shows up and you're a top 20, top 15 offense in the country in either total yards or total points or both, and he's gone. Someone comes and plucks him up and wants him to be a head coach at some other, maybe a group of 5 school. I don't know. And at the same time, I also have a hard time seeing that happen where the offense makes that big of a leap, but you never know. So I right now I would say 6-6 would likely keep his job for Sam. So much of this is you know, it's all going to come down to whether or not the offense has turned it around, and if the defense could stay at the level that they played at a year ago, maybe a little bit better. The run defense folded in the second half of the season. 7-5 plus a bowl game. 8-5 is a damn good year considering where we are right now. Yeah, if he can get to 7 wins. Yeah, I think that's probably, there's truth in that. It's funny how one game can make all the difference. You know, this year, I think 5 wins fans still would have been pissed off, right? Like they were. All right, I think that's really going to do it. We're coming up on 50 minutes here. I'm going to go pick up the kiddos from school. But we will be live for the post game tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Again, I'm taking LSU, but I think it's going to be I think it's going to end up, for a while, it's going to be a close game, but LSU finds a way maybe to pull away simply because Arkansas, I still am just not sold that their defense can do what we saw, you know, the last couple of games for a little while anyways. I'm not convinced they can carry that into even against LSU, who's not a great team. I think them and Arkansas are in a very similar situation, but I think LSU it did it again. What the hell is going on? All right, with that being said, now that OBS is trying to shit the bed again, I'm going to end it here. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the post game, assuming OBS is not completely dead by then, one way or another. Maybe I'll go live on StreamYard. tomorrow for a call-in show. How about that? Maybe we'll do that, assuming Arkansas win or lose. Maybe that's what we'll do. All right, I'm going to end it here. Again, shout out to the sponsors, Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company, and, of course, the Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzeria on Emma Street in Springdale. All right, I'm going to put that prediction up in Discord. Don't forget, giveaway, Patreon giveaway will be the following weekend. It won't be this weekend, but the next weekend. All right, I'll see you guys. Enjoy the rest of your Friday.